Welcome back to Capitol Review. I'm Mark Hall. In a rare rebuke of the senator's top Republican, House Speaker Mike Johnson says that he shared his frustration with Senate Majority Leader John Thune over a provision added to the government funding package, and it allows senators to sue the federal government for $500,000 if federal law enforcement collects their data without their knowledge. House Democrats and Republicans alike blasted the legislation.
That was way out of line. I don't think that was a smart thing to do. I don't think it was the right thing to do, and the House is going to reverse it. We're going to repeal that.
Joining us now is Colin Reed, a Republican strategist and principal at the D.C.-based firm South and Hill. Colin, welcome back to Capitol Review.
Always great to be here, Mark. Happy weekend.
We're glad to have you, sir. Your reaction to Speaker Mike Johnson's concerns about the provision. Does he have a point here?
Well, look, if there are disagreements between the House Speaker and the Majority Leader, they'll figure it out and they'll resolve them pretty quickly. This is the nature of governing the way that the last few weeks, this shameful episode that we've seen in terms of keeping the government open. This was a large funding package that was needed to turn the lights back on, literally. And if there are disagreements, they'll paper them over and they'll figure it out quickly. The same cannot be said, however, on the Democratic side, where you've got large members of the party essentially calling for Minority Leader Chuck Schumer's head. And the disagreements over the last week that have spilled out as a result of this shameful episode are going to reverberate long beyond this shutdown.
You're right. The lights are back on. What is the Republican majority's message to Americans that they were on the right side of the shutdown?
I think it's really important that the story reflects the reality of what happened the last six weeks or so. One party voted to shut the government down in pursuit of a policy objective. One party voted 14 times against getting the government back reopened. And then one party finally, at least 8 members of the Senate at least, came to their senses, realized the strategy wasn't working, realized that 42 million people were losing SNAP, saw the fiascos at nation's airports, and finally came to their senses and realized this isn't working. Government shutdowns hurt everybody, especially here in the D.C. region, and especially for everybody ahead of the holiday season. And now the government's reopened. Keeping the lights on shouldn't be seen as some sort of accomplishment, but unfortunately, that's the way our Congress operates these days. So one party is responsible for it. It was a disaster. There were no winners. There were only losers, and hopefully it's the last we've seen of it for some time.
Colin, moving forward, is there pressure on the Republican Party leadership to keep their word on holding a vote on those Affordable Care Act subsidies?
Well, there's pressure on every lawmaker right now to address the issues that are going on in healthcare right now. And look, it's funny, if you look back 15 years ago during the throes of the Affordable Care Act's implementation, also known as Obamacare, this was presented by its supporters as the end-all be-all that was going to fix many of these challenges and problems. A decade and a half later, we're stuck here where basically everybody agrees the healthcare situation in this country is untenable, unaffordable, and not working. And now rather we're having this debate around the edges about these subsidies. But I think lawmakers will be wise to address healthcare at more of a systemic level, because this is what people are dealing with. And but shutting down the government in pursuit of that was not the way to do it.
How can the Republican Party, or how can Congress avoid or prevent another shutdown from happening?
Well, hopefully there's never any education in the second kick of a mule. And hopefully at this point, the members of Congress have learned that shutting down the government in pursuit of a policy objective is a losing strategy. It doesn't work. And at the bare minimum, the light should be kept on, the government should be functioning, the airports should be working. And lawmakers can disagree on these policies, but I think people expect their elected representatives to at least be able to address the issues. They may not agree on them, but at least have a discussion about it. You can't do any of that when the government is shut down. And this was such a disaster, not politically, but more importantly for the country. We'll be dealing with the ramifications for it for some time. So hopefully there's a lesson to be learned here. Don't shut the government down in pursuit of a policy objective.
Colin Reed, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thanks, Mark.